Good afternoon. Welcome back to Hurting People Do Cry. Um, I want to thank everybody that has tuned in to listening to my podcast. Sorry I didn't get the podcast up in time. I had ran into a little snag yesterday. You know, the devil thought he had me, but God see it another way. He always seen it another way. What God has for me, it is for me. Yesterday, I ran into a little issue where the sounds wasn't coming out of my podcast, and I didn't know why or what was going on. I was checking the settings and everything, and I knew it went up, but the devil didn't want me to talk. I had my host here with me last night, and she was saying that the reason why it's not working is because she wasn't supposed to have been here. That I was supposed to have been doing the podcast by myself, and she was like, every time I come, the podcast didn't want to work. But I told her the devil is a lie. We were gonna get this podcast up and running, but could not get the sounds to come out. So I went into my settings, and I had to go in, and apparently the drive had disappeared for the sound. So I had to go back in, and you do your little Google stuff, and it tells you what to do. So I went in and I had to uninstall that drive and reinstall the drive back in, and it ran some tests on it for me, and then all of a sudden the sound started coming back. So I thank God for that. That's why I say the devil thought he had me, but God saw it another way. I do want to talk about what we left off with last week. We were doing part one of different types of relationships, and I want to go over some of them just in case that some did not get to hear the podcast last week. I'm going to go back over some of this, the relationships, different types of relationships that I talked about last week. One of the relationships was called a romantic relationship, and that's when two people are attracted to each other. Then you have what you call a friendship relationship, and that's when two or more people share a close emotion bond and enjoy spending time with each other. And we had a relationship called unhealthy and toxic. Toxic relationship are they use to hurt and control and someone else, where they're being hurt and now they want to try to use that control to hurt someone else. And when you're thinking about an unhealthy relationship, you're thinking about being abused, angry, negative, destructive, and unsupported. And that can also add on to as being a toxic relationship. Another relationship that we talked about was called an open, committed relationship, and that's where each partner agreed to have sexual or romantic relationship with each other. And the same thing to me as a polygamy relationship is where people have multiple romantic relationships with the consent of their partner. So the committed one is they agree to have it, and then the other is they have consent to have it. Well, to me, that's the same thing. You're still cheating. Open marriage is the same thing to me as an open, committed relationship. And that's where both spouses agree that they're allowed to have sexual, romantic relationship with other people. When we talk about with other people, we talk about they go out and they find a partner together, and they have like what you call a threesome. And I've always told you never invite nobody to your bedroom, husband or wife. You never invite another person into your bedroom, because that's a sacred place. That's just for you, not for nobody else. And then you never know. Talking about trust. How can you build trust with that, or how can you trust your partner, even though they both of y'all agreed to it, but you still gonna have it back in your mind. Is he still messing with her or him? You know what I'm saying? So never invite nobody into your bedroom. That's sacred just for you. Another relationship I have asked everybody, do they know what a GGG relationship is? And like I said last week, that's a never heard of GGG relationship. And GGG stand for good, giving, and gain. In other words, they describe someone that has a good sexual partner. So they're saying if you GGG, you good, 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 get it, get it, get it. But I've never heard of a relationship called GGG. Now, this other relationship is called broken relationship. And that's when a relationship falls apart and it's hard to move on. And they give you certain words that you can describe what a broken relationship is. And some of those words is like, I'm sorry, I never meant to hurt you. Thank you for always being there for me. I wish things could have been different. I'll always love you. I'll always remember the good times that we had. Goodbye. I hope you find what you're looking for. I hope you're happy. I hope you find someone who makes you happy. And that's what they consider as a broken relationship. And it's the feeling of sadness, of loneliness after a romantic relationship has ended. So there are so many different types of relationships out there. You also have what you call same-sex relationships, where relationship a man and a woman, but we're not going to get into that right now. We all have our different opinions on those type of relationships, so we're not going to discuss that part right now. Going into this, one of the worst relationships that I consider that you're having is a verbal abuse relationship. And a verbal abuse occurs when someone hurts someone with a spoken or unspoken words. And it can be used in many ways, and it happens in many kinds of relationships, whether platonic or romantic. Words can be used to demean, criticize, belittle, make fun of, embarrass another person. These forms of abuse impact a person's self-worth and can make them feel unsafe in a relationship. So, when they put these words on you, or they tell you, look, you ugly, you fat, you don't nobody else want you, those words can hurt. And that's what they call belittle, when they use those type of words and they criticize you. And does it make you feel good? No, it don't. It makes you feel like nobody is out there for you but this person. That's how they would make you feel too. Don't nobody else want you. You better be glad I'm putting up with you. No, you better be glad I'm putting up with you. What you ain't gonna do is give me low self-esteem. And I know a lot of women or men can feel the same way, and they can carry that with them with that low self-esteem, and that makes them feel bad, just thinking don't nobody else want to. But ladies, I'm here to tell you, you is not. Never let a man feel like you less than what you are. You worth more than what you are. Man, never let a woman make you feel you less than what you are. If they don't like you for what you is, then tell them to move on. God made you this way. You didn't make me this way. You don't like it. Look, there's the door, or you can jump out the window. You can pick your choice. But what we ain't gonna do is sit here and belittle each other and make each other feel bad, because if you're in a relationship like that, that's still considered as a toxic relationship. And if you feel like you're in a toxic relationship, you need to go get you some help. Verbal abuse also is a possessed by the abuser. Sometimes they could be jealous. They could be financial control. In other words, when I say financial control, that means they control the money, your money, or their money, or they don't want you to work. They want to give you what they want to give you to try to make it. Never let nobody control you over anything. You have people that's jealous because you may work a better job or may make more money than them. But they have to realize what we make or what you make or what I make, it shouldn't matter, because it's always coming into the household to make us grow, do better. We never want to sit here and make ourselves do less and sit where the devil wants us to sit. God said we are rich and we are more than a conqueror. We are above and not beneath. You understand what I'm saying? He gives us that, and the Bible's in the Bible. So why would you want somebody to control you or make you feel like what you are? No, you the head and not the tail. You're above and not beneath. Just like God, He's Alpha and Omega. He's the beginning and the end. Okay? Controlling the attire of the victim or what they wear. Women like to look sexy sometimes. Sometimes your man don't want you going out there with your skirts way up above your knees. It is good to be presentable, but you could be presentable and look sexy at the same time. I do. So, I don't care about how people say what I look like. I'm going to be me. And if you don't like the way I am, guess what? That's your problem, not mine. Malnutrition of the victim. They get to a point where they stop eating. They have this disease where they feel like they fat and they try to lose weight and get malnutrition, and that's not healthy at all. Withdrawal behavior from the victims. All of these are different types of verbal abuse. Another one is like forced sexual activity, and that's by the user in disregard for other desire for such activities. Sexual coincides unwanted sexual activity that happens when you are pressured, guilty, tricked, threatened, or forced into a non-physical way. So you don't want nobody to try to control your body. That's your body. That would not happen. Another thing is sexual abuse and coercion, which means sexual behavior by one partner to another. And the worst abuse that anybody can have is emotional and mental abuse, where they mess with your mind and your feelings. And that's why I said don't never let nobody get into your mind. And I understand that low self-esteem people does let that happen. That's a mind game that people play on you. Never let nobody play a mind game with you. Your feelings counts. Your emotion counts. And I see that we have, you could just sit in a room and just be sitting there and be like, what's going on? I'm just looking at walls, and I don't have the strength to do nothing. I don't have that motivation. That you sit and you look at these walls, and the walls get to talking to you, and you have that little mental abuse, and mental illness is real. As a child, we go through it. Grown-ups go through it. Older people go through it. You'd be amazed how mental abuse take over people's body. And it is a real thing. We talk about sexual abuse with children. That's a mental thing with kids, and that's something that's real heavy for a child to have to carry on, being abused and not knowing who to talk to, or the devil get in their mind and say, look, this is who you're going to be. No, it's not. You have to reach out to somebody. You have to talk to somebody. As same as a woman getting a rape, it can mess with her mind. It messes with her emotions. It messes with her body. You know what I'm saying? So mental emotional abuse is real bad. What you might feel or say when you're in an abusive relationship? An abusive partner may make you feel like you can't believe yourself, or that problems in your relationship are your fault. Never your fault. Never think that you've done anything. Now, if you feel like you've done something, yes. But if you feel like you haven't done anything in a relationship, don't feel like you have. And here's some things that you might say to yourself if you're in an abusive relationship. My partner loves me. They're not valid all the time. Someone may say this to justify their decision to stay in a relationship because poor behavior doesn't happen all the time. They are forced on the moment where there is no violence and consider that good enough. You may hear them say, they didn't mean to hurt me. Similarly to above, when they are being physically injured, they consider it to be about what their abuser says, which is that they did intentionally mean to hurt them. The victim hears the word and believes the word instead of looking at the action. They hear it. They may say, "Oh, I didn't mean it, baby. It would have never happened again." But they're listening to that word where it don't got in their mind. But don't be looking at the action or how severe it is. Sometimes they may say, "It's so confusing." I'm sure it was a one-time thing. Someone may say that if they are trying to understand how and why abuse may have occurred and pacify it, they allow and accept the one-time behavior to happen. And when it happens again, they may struggle to understand that it is abuse if they are so quick to poor behavior. They're not confused. People know exactly what they're doing. And it's that anger that they have on the inside that they try to control another person with. You know, sometimes they may say, "It was my fault." It's never your fault. Someone may say this because they are made to feel that they are at fault. And if they adjust their behavior, they wouldn't be hurt. So they're just saying, maybe if I change what I'm doing, they wouldn't hurt me no more. Or if I dress the way he want me to dress, they won't hurt me no more. You know, I've always heard if a person beat on you one time, they're going to beat on you again. They may say, "Oh, I'm sorry, babe, I didn't mean it." But then they go right back and do it again. Then what you going to say? How will you feel then? Are you going to still consider what they're saying? "I won't do it again," and go back to the relationship? Some people may say, "I'm scared of what will happen if I leave." Someone may say it's this to mean a couple of things. First, they may fiercely fear leaving if they have been threatened. If they leave, the abuser will find them. And that's true. I've looked at a lot of Lifetime movies, and I know they're just movies, where they feel like the husband was beating on them, and if they leave, they're going to find them. Or sometimes they go to the police and they put them in protection living situations. And then somehow, you know, if they want to find you, they'll find you. It's psychologically keeps the victim held captive. And second, someone may say this because they don't know life about this person. There is life after death. There is life. There's life on the other side. You may not see it because you're only looking at one picture. You know, I've never been in a situation like that. I can't really say, you know, I wish I had somebody here that could talk about stuff like that, but I've never been in a situation where afraid to leave. You know, and I can understand the fear that most women may have with that. And they say, how to leave an abusive relationship. How do you leave an abusive relationship? Making that decision and planning to leave an abusive relationship can seem very scary and difficult, even though the way you are being treated is unacceptable. You may have your finances and houses separated. You may be experiencing trauma bonding as well, making the idea of leaving even more challenging. You may also be so isolated from friends and family that you don't even know how to connect or contact anyone for support. You are not alone, and you are brave for taking steps to leave a toxic relationship. Here are 7 steps to take when you're trying to leave a relationship. And one is, be aware of the red flag. When you sense that your abuser is going to get angry and you can't anticipate what something may happen, stay alert. When you sense this is happening, plan to have reason to leave the house. Say something like, "I'm going to the store. I'll be right back." Or, "The baby needs some Pampers. I need to go to the store and get some Pampers." That's your way of leaving. Find a safe spot. If your abuser starts to get angry and you feel that you may become abusive, locate a safe area of the house where you can go. Make sure these areas are accessible to a window or a phone. Always keep your phone on you. I don't care if I'm going to the trash and take it to the garbage can outside. I've always keep my phone everywhere I go. Have a code word that you know that you may give your friend, or look, when you come, I'm give you this code word and let them know, okay, something is going on that I may be able to contact the police for them. Come up with a language or a gesture that can use to alert others that you are in danger and seek help. A code word, something like a facial expression or a hand gesture, are all ways to communicate a code word. Know where you can go in case of emergency and locate potential shelter. Another one is have a go bag ready. Make sure you pack bags with essentials that you can grab and leave the house with. A key, car keys, clothes, cash, phone number, documents. Ask a friend or a relative to keep copies of all these things is important as well. Do a practice drill. Practice leaving the house and go over your exit plan so you know what to do. If you have children, have them participate so they will also know also. Don't use a phone that your abuser have access to. Try to get you a pay phone, or see if you can go in and get you a free phone. Always have a second phone. And don't be afraid to ask for help. Never be afraid to ask for help. If you at work and you know your abuser, you have an abuser in your relationship, and you go to work, ask for help. There are help on your jobs. There are help in your church. There may be help in your community. You can always go to it, and like I said, I've never been in it, never been in that situation, but you never know what you would do if you were ever in an abusive relationship. But these are some thoughts to help you to get out of a abusive relationship. If you're dealing with issues and slammings from toxic or abusive relationship, talking to a therapist can make a big difference in how you feel. Abuse in any form should not be tolerated. But therapy can reach out to your support network. It can help you recognize this and develop exit plan. We talked about abuse relationships. We talked about verbal relationships, emotional relationships, toxic relationships, unhealthy relationships. There are so many different types of relationships that people get in. But let me say this. Know who you're dealing with. Know the other person that you're dealing with, that you're married to, that you're living with, a friend, someone that you just deal with on the outside, a romantic relationship, or you just may have somebody that you just kick it with. But always know who you're dealing with, because they will show their true colors. A person show you exactly who they are. And if you see a red flag, I promise you there's never a blue flag right behind it. That red flag means to go. You don't need that red flag, you need to find your green light and go to that green light and keep it moving. You don't need no yellow light. A yellow light say caution. There's no caution. We ain't slowing down for nothing. Find that green light that says go. It's time to go. It's time to pack my bags. It's time for me to find me an exit. It's time for me to find me a friend that knows the keywords to let them know I'm on my way, and also to let them know they're being abused. Call 911. Let them help it. But I understand there are steps to all of this, and the first thing they always ask you is, have y'all ever been in an abusive relationship? Have you ever taken out a warrant? And women, let me say this too. If you're in an abusive relationship and or a toxic or unhealthy relationship, and you call 911 because this person is beating on you, and then when the police come out, you talking about, no, I don't want to press charges. That's a mental problem right there, because if you're in an abusive relationship, don't think that's gonna be the only time it's gonna happen. And when you don't want to press charges, you know what? They're just giving them the light. Okay, she ain't gonna do nothing about it. I'm gonna go ahead and do it again. And then what you gonna do? Because people say, baby, I love you. I love you to death. But guess what? They mean that. They really do mean that. And let me say that when you get out of a relationship, in a toxic relationship, don't go back. Because every time you go back, guess what? That relationship is going to get worse. And then you be like, well, I should have left the first time. I should have never came back. There are a whole lot of things that people can say to you to make you sound like they've changed. Or they say, let's go to therapy together. I've changed. Or, baby, I don't want to talk to somebody. I don't talk to my pastor. What's in you going to come out? People are going to show you exactly who they is. I promise you that. I've been it. I've seen it. I've seen a lot of this stuff going on. I'm not saying that I'm not guilty. I've done it. I've been in relationships and went back to the person. Guess what? It never did get better. I was in a relationship where, I was losing everything. Working at a nice company. Losing money. Just wondering why every week my car was breaking down, or why my bills weren't getting paid. Going into my 401k trying to pay my rent. With nothing going right for me. And I started going to church, and I just asked God to see, there's a thing that's called love sick. I don't know if anybody ever heard of the word called love sick. Love sick is a situation where you just love this person so much you can't live without them. Let's say they stay out all night and you up all night trying to figure out where they at. You say, oh Lord, if you bring them home, Father, oh Lord, blah, blah, this and blah, blah, that. But that's called love sick. I've been there. I used to stay up all night wondering where they at. When they gonna come back in, and then they come in, you feel better, you can rest, or you like, baby, you okay, you all right. But they out there doing something for a reason. And then you take them back into that situation, you can't let it go. And what helped me, I asked God. I said, God, if you get me out of this, I promise you, I would never put myself back in another situation like that. And I didn't. And like I said, God is always on time. He's an on-time God. And I just thank God for what he did for me. Because, like I said, I was losing everything. And something in my mind, because my mom always say, you're tired when you're tired. When you keep going back to it, you're not tired yet. But when you finally let that go and get it in your mind and say, I can't do this no more. This is not healthy for me. This is not healthy for my body. This is not healthy for my mind. And most of all, if you have children, this is not healthy for my children to see me go through something like this, because your kids is going to think it's okay. And it's not okay to be in no type of relationships like that, especially around your children. Then we wonder what's wrong with our kids when they go to school, and why they doing this. And sometimes, why they want to shoot up everybody. We got to get ourselves right. We got to clean up our house. And I mean the house, your body, your what God gave you, your temple. Then clean on the outside, and then get your mind together. And after I left that person, told God I was tired, get me through this, I moved, I packed me and my children's stuff up, I moved, and God started giving my stuff back to me. I was like the book of Job. I was getting everything back, because I never gave up on God, because I know he was first in my life. And I also knew who God was. And like I said, I was like the book of Job. I never gave up. And when I got away from the situation, God gave everything back to me. Tenfold. Blessing me with everything. When I tell you, when I lived, I didn't have no furniture. I didn't have no kitchen stuff. I didn't have nothing. But God made a way. And I told God, if you get me through this, I promise you I would never let nobody take nothing else from me again. And I just thank God for the people that he brought into my life. And, a good church, a good pastor, bishop that teaches the word. And I just thank God for a teaching church that I'm in. My final thoughts, and I hope that this conversation will help other people as well. Um, there's places that you can call to get help, like if you're in a domestic violence. There's a place called the National Domestic Violence Hotline. It's 1-800-799-7233. It's 1-800-799-SAFE, and the number is 7233. Or you can chat live and text start to 88788. So there's a place, people, if you're listening, you feel like you're in a domestic violence relationship or unhealthy or a toxic relationship and you want to come out of it, that's a number that you can call. You can also get in touch with Family Services Shelter Crisis. They're located on Broad Street here in Winston-Salem. Their number is 336-723-8125. If you know anybody, if you have a friend, relative, neighbor, and you know that they're in a relationship and they're trying to get help, give them that number. National Domestic Violence is located in Austin, Texas. And they also have another line, 737-255-3150. So there's three places that I've given you that you can go for help. I want to thank you for listening to the podcast on relationship, different types of relationship, how to overcome, know the signs of relationships, know the words of that people give you, know how to get away. Like I said, I've given you 3 contact information that you can also use. Ladies, men, always feel like you don't have to think that you're less than what you are. You're more than a conqueror. You're more than a conqueror. You're the head and not the tail. I appreciate you listening to this podcast. Like I say, you can hit the like button down there. Please, I keep stressing this. Leave me a comment on how you feel about this broadcast or what you thought about this topic that we talked about, relationships part 2. Also subscribe, so whenever we do have a podcast, it'll go directly to you and you'll know exactly when to get it and when you can listen to it. Invite your friends, invite families to listen to this podcast. I thank God for giving me this podcast to do. Like I said, what God has for you is for you. I thank Him for the plan that He has in my life. Like I said, the devil thought he was going to get me, but he didn't. I was still able to do the podcast. I'm a day late, but guess what? God was on time. So He gave me the time when to do it. Because, yesterday we were going through a lot of storms, wind and rain. So that may be the reason what God, we never know. We never know. And I just thank God for everything that He's doing for me in my life. I do also want to let you know that I will be putting on another play real soon. I will give you more information on that as it goes by. I will be teaming up with another person that we will be doing and putting on a play together. Like I said, I will give you more information. So I want to thank everyone again. Thank you for listening. Thank you for putting up with me. I love you all. Like I say, subscribe. You can also email me. I forgot. You can email me at wpproduction2022@gmail.com. I would love to get emails. If you want to go up on my website, I do have a website called WP2022. WP2022 if you want to go up on my website as well. Thank you all. Have a great day. I love you and God do too. Bye-bye. Until next time.